And now we are coming back to our main topic, the defensive fortifications along the border with Belarus and Russia's Kaliningrad, known as East Shield. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk visited what he calls the first element of Polish investment in peace, saying that everything Poland is doing there is meant to deter and discourage any potential aggressor. And to discuss these three threats, I'm joined now by Bohdan Nahaylo, editor-in-chief in Kyiv Post. Good evening, sir. Happy to have you.
Good evening to you all.
All right, so airspace monitoring systems, infrastructure for anti-drone systems, advanced surveillance systems, satellite monitoring and underground bunkers. How exactly is the East Shield impenetrable?
I think it's implementable if the will is there and the cooperation of Poland and its partners is there. And it seems to be on the table. So I don't have great doubts about that. But we have doubts in Ukraine, and I'm the chief editor of the Kyiv Post, so I'm reflecting the mood there. They're all for Poland doing its best to protect its borders. This is logical. This is absolutely necessary. But Ukraine doesn't want to be left out as a potential buffer zone and open to further Russian aggression. So while we welcome this, we would like that line of defense to be extended further east and to be applicable in some future on some future occasion, also to Ukraine through NATO membership or buffering up the front line wherever it is if compromise is imposed on Ukraine.
This is a very right opinion. You're right, but I would like to draw from Ukrainian expertise, let's put it this way, because in multiple discussions, experts talk about a higher level of armor warfare. In this very context, I would like to ask you about the simple experience the Ukrainians have. I mean, does the present typically conventional war in Ukraine confirm the necessity of such measures, defensive measures?
As I've said, I think this is logical. It makes sense from the point of view of Poland's national interest and its security and its defense. But look, an all-out Russian assault, as we've witnessed not only in Donbass, but on Kyiv in the first stages of the war, it's not really applicable. You cannot realistically expect that from Kaliningrad, from Belarus. The Belarusians, I think, won't fight. Lukashenko make bluster, as an ally of Putin. But the average Belarusian, the average middle-level Belarusian officer is not going to want to invade Poland or attack a NATO country. I think they realize it's not only suicidal, but it's against Belarusian long-term national interests, because they realize Lukashenko is not there, nor is Putin, for that matter, there forever. So I would say it's difficult to draw that comparison. Let Poland do what it does, and Ukraine is fully behind it and as a partner and understands that. But that should not be at the expense of Ukraine, because Poland's security, after all, depends on a potential push from Russia through Ukraine, through the Baltic states, not through Kaliningrad or Belarus one day. And we must not allow that to happen. We must allow Ukraine to win, or at least to put Russia in its place. And that will be a security for the rest of Europe, including Poland and our immediate neighbors.
Of course. Okay, so I would like to move now to the latest proposal from Volodymyr Zelensky, who, in an interview with Britain's Sky News, made a suggestion that with Ukraine being admitted into NATO and with the alliance's umbrella applying only to 80% of the country controlled by Kyiv, he would consider ending the fight. So I would like to ask you, who is Volodymyr Zelensky actually talking to? Do you think it's Russia, which makes apparently no signs of will to end the war? Or is it the West by signaling that Ukraine is exhausted with the war? Or maybe, perhaps it's Donald Trump showing a commitment to a diplomatic solution?
Okay, let's step back. I think Zelensky himself is exhausted and frustrated with these types of questions. Will you, won't you? What are you prepared to give up? We need you to make peace. Are you prepared to compromise? If so, what will you do? And look, he didn't volunteer that information himself. He was pressed in that interview with Sky News to talk about this. It was not something, it wasn't a declaration, hey folks, I have a new position to announce to you. It was reluctantly said, under pressure, more or less to say to the West in particular, not aimed at Russia, you are pressing us. We realize you're tired. We realize that there's change in Washington and you are looking for a solution. The bottom line is, if you want to force us to diplomatically through arms embargoes or whatever, to compromise and deal with what we have, then the bottom line is, A, you continue to recognize the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. And for the moment, if you want to freeze the conflict, okay, freeze it with giving us the right to continue diplomatically to try and retrieve our territories. But in the meantime, give us the security guarantees that we want, not on paper, as happened decades ago, but NATO membership. Look, that is something I can sell to my public, Zelensky speaking, not me. And this is something that makes sense. And this is something that Russia would have to swallow in order to get the temporary advantages that Putin needs to show that the war was worthwhile.
All right. So how realistic, according to you, is such a scenario? I mean, Putin and his top aides have made it clear time after time that they'll never agree to Ukraine joining NATO. Even mentioning it, it's like a red flag.
Well, look, did they want Poland to join? Did they want the Baltic states? Did they want Finland? Did they want Sweden? There's always no. We don't want this. This is against Russia's interests. Well, okay, Russia, live your own life within your own borders. Nobody's threatening you. Don't threaten your neighbors, and don't tell others how to live their own lives. You know, they are sovereign states. Abide by, the UN Charter, recognize the sovereignty and independence of other states as you wish yours to be. Nobody's threatening Russia directly. Just because you want your imperial dreams restored and a sense of a greater Russia in defense of whether it's orthodoxy, whether it's in terms of Russian speakers, whatever excuse you can think of, that's atavistic. That's 19th century. Those were the terms with which you subjugated Poland in the 19th century, when you also wanted them to be part of a Russian empire because you were the big dominant power. Sorry, those days have gone. Play by the rules. And if you want to be a responsible member of the international community, even for India and China and Brazil to fully respect you, then play by the rules.
Yes, the problem is that there are no rules for Vladimir Putin, apparently. We don't know still what this fast peace plan that is going to be put forward by Donald Trump be like, but is it even achievable, according to you? I mean, what is the possible turnout of the days to come? Do you believe in a peace as proposed by Trump administration, whatever shape it might take?
Look, we have to distinguish between realities, as you indicate, and talk and rhetoric. Pre-election rhetoric, I'm going to do it in one day, 24 hours or whatever. I'm sure Trump would like to go down as a peacemaker. I'm sure he'd like to flex his macho muscles, political and otherwise, and financial, and say, look, I did it. I brought peace around. But I think he's also not stupid, and he doesn't want to be seen as the man that sold out Ukraine. He's always going on about the Americans pulling out of Afghanistan the way they did it. He wants to make America great again. So I don't think he wants to be on his knees before Putin. And also, I think whatever he said about Europe and Europe not pulling its weight, he has to be seen to be credible and still a leader of some sort in some capacity in the eyes of Europeans. And if he were to let Ukraine go right now, I think that would backfire on him dramatically. He may get some temporary leverage at home from the far right and for those who don't care about Europe and who are isolationists. But in the long term, it would haunt him. And I don't think he's crazy enough to do that.
All right, Bohdan and Nahaylo, thank you very much. Kiev Post editor-in-chief was joining us tonight. Thank you for being with us and for sharing your comments. Good evening, good night. And that concludes this edition of World News Tonight. Thank you for being with us, for watching, but make sure to stay tuned to TVP World for more news, more interesting features. Thank you very much and see you soon. Good night.